el Sheffield Wednesday quiere dar la bienvenida más calurosa a nuestro nuevo entrenador, Xisco Muñoz.
So Sheffield Wednesday have finally pulled the trigger and appointed Xisco. I've done my homework on this. Xisco Muñoz as the new head coach. The ex-Watford and Dynamo Tblisi manager steps in to manage our championship season after securing promotion via the playoffs against Barnsley. At 42 years old, he will be one of the youngest coaches in the league, and we've only got 16 signed-on players, so he's got a hell of a job in front of him. Let myself, Stevie, John and Blair try and make sense of it. Chaps, it's finally happened. We're only a few days in. I mean, is anybody excited, or are we just chuffed it's happened, or are we like Ash was the last time we spoke, where, you know, nobody really gave a shit. He's just the next person to stand in the dugout. Stevie, I'll come to you first.
It's about bloody time, isn't it? It's a feeling of relief to finally have it over the line. For me personally, I'm glad it's happened. It feels automatically we're literally recording within an hour of the announcement being made, and it feels automatically like we've got a little bit more stability. You know, we've been talking about it for a week and a half, 2 weeks, where we've been sitting and going. First the shock, you know, the stages of grief that you go through, and then, you know, the disappointment, the confusion, the anger, and then the just the abject sort of, it's almost apathy in some cases that people have felt around the club not having a manager, and lack of surprise when another name gets linked and people lump a load of money on another random manager like Paul Ince, or was it Duncan Ferguson this afternoon's gone into second favourite because somebody's claimed that they'd seen him on Division Street or something like that, and he wasn't even in the same town. So to be out of that sort of phase of confusion and sort of not knowingness, if you like, as to where we were going forwards, it automatically feels like all of a sudden there is something of a plan and something's a footing for us to kick on from. So I'm pleased. I might be a little bit overexcited based on the fact that it's just a guy through the door, but I'm sure we'll unpick it over the next half hour or so, and we'll come to some sort of conclusion whether it's been a good appointment or one that we've just plugged a hole with.
I tell you what's interesting, Steve. The amount of, you know, unfairly so. I know, but we do it as purely out of banter. We do banter with Simon a bit about being, you know, about being the more senior man of this podcast. And I remember when we first got him on, he said it's weird when you grow up and the players become younger than you, but then it's weird. It's weird when the managers become younger than you. I don't even remember him saying it. And I've just realised my own age, given that he's only a month older than I am. So you and I, Stevie, are on the vinegar strokes of being older than the manager now. Well, they are, Steve. So he's just frozen there. So Blair, I'll come to you. While Steve is smouldering at me, I'll come to you. 42 years old, you know, won the league in Dynamo Tblisi, Xisco Muñoz. I mean, you know, do you know anything about him? Time at Watford, all the rest of it?
I remember his time at Watford. He did have a mint team at Watford because they got relegated. I think they had like, his Marley Snarvers in it. I can remember going, how is he still in their team? You know, he's unfair, all that blah blah blah. I'll probably say something about Leicester and we get talking about them one day. But he still had to get a tune out of him, and he still won the league at a canter, I believe, if my memory serves well. And when he got sacked in the October, it was one of them ones where it was the first time when a Watford manager got sacked. You went, what really? He was like cool. Everyone liked him, and like, do you know what I mean? So I think it's a positive appointment. But he's young again, so I think it's following the remit of when you look at him, how he employed Moore and Monk. Sorry, he was quite a young manager, and then you've went a bit mental with Tony Pulis for 20 days. But then Darren Moore was a young manager, and then this guy's a young manager. So he's obviously the merry-go-round people have completely gone now. I mean, I think he's actually done a bit of due diligence. Say it for me. Due diligence. There we go. Say it. And I think he's actually cast his net wider than just the Sky Bet bookies. Do you know what I mean? And he's actually found the geezer who might actually do something positive for us.
Now, what I do need to mention is that the way that the bookie's favourite becomes news just absolutely slaughters me. It could be any bugger. It could be anybody. And 10 quid on from somebody will absolutely swing the odds. And that's how it works. Why bookie's favourite such and such is now mentioned in the same breath as bookie's favourite someone else from yesterday absolutely slaughters me. What we had today, we've had... Duncan Ferguson was mentioned, as Stevie mentioned, and then it turned out that the photo that was uploaded, he was in Wilmslow and nowhere near Sheffield, just because he'd left Forest Green today. Now, Xisco Muñoz. I had to text an actual Spanish person to tell me how to pronounce it. So, because I thought it was Xisco or Cisco, but because he's from Manacanor, because he's from the Balearic Islands, it gets pronounced differently. Yeah. He's near the Balearics. It gets pronounced differently. So it's Xisco Muñoz.
But it's Xisco in Yorkshire. That's
yeah. I've already made the artwork for this, and it is all. Let's all have a Xisco. So that's what's happening. So, John, played at a decent level in Valencia and Betis. He knows the game, and it's a bit of a left field kind of appointment for us because it's a bit exciting. It's a bit sexy, isn't it?
Well, we have that thing, don't we, over here, where you can get two managers doing equally as well, but the one with a foreign name tends to get more plaudits, doesn't it? Because he's continental, as they call him. So we do get that kind of.
That's not completely out of order, though. I mean, the one that was the biggest shouter about it was Sam Allardyce, who said literally that if his name was Allardyce, he'd get a lot more credibility. And the reason is that we subscribe to a lot of bullshit in terms of football, in terms of this country, right? So a number 9 and number 10 has to be a short lad and a big lad. We have to do that. You have to be over 6 foot something to be a goalkeeper. And the defensive midfielder has to be a certain size, and the winger has to do a certain job, and it's all shit, right? For some reason, we can't get rid of those things in here. So when a continental player comes in and goes, "Sorry, what? You only pick a number 10 because he's massive?" Yeah, we have to. That's kind of the rules, like, you know what I mean? So that's why. But like I said, John, sorry to cut you off, but it's a sexy appointment, right?
Yeah, I mean, it will. One good noticeable thing on the CV is what we all desire in a manager is somebody who's got a promotion from the Championship on the CV, and that's what he's got, isn't it? So that's a big plus point for all us. With the new manager coming in to see that he's achieved something out of this league, that's a massive plus point. I'm sure that's the biggest selling point for Chansira, is that he wants somebody who's got that experience of like Dean Smith did as well. But I don't know if there's been a massive difference in how much it had cost to take Dean Smith on as opposed to Xisco, as we're calling him. But he might just want to go back to the foreign route. It worked well for Carlos for 2 seasons. Didn't work very well under Joss, but then we had a sequence of British managers. Again, some disastrous, some better. And he might just be trying to have another flip of the coin and say, let's go back down the foreign route. He's got a promotion on his CV from the Championship. It's a different style. He may have got different contacts in the game. He's played at a very, very high level indeed. So who knows who he's come across in his time from playing and his short term as manager, his managerial career so far. He may have some good contacts that can secure us some loans or some frees that perhaps players, agents in this country aren't quite as familiar with, and we'll just have to. Yeah, I just have to see how it plays out. But Moore's gone. It's Xisco time.
It's Xisco time. Brilliant. I enjoy that. I might change the name of the episode to that. Now, Stevie, based on what John says, does that mean there's more players coming from Watford? They like Forestieri, Abdi, Pudil. We had them all. Now, listen, I'm being facetious, but in terms of his age. Right, and in terms of his experience and who we had in the dugout before, and I'm going to ask you this because I believe it's personal to you, because I know you were a big Moore advocate. Is it an upgrade?
Ooh. It's the answer or the question that I'll never be able to answer properly, will I?
Let's go Love Island on it. Is it an upgrade on paper?
On paper, you'd have to say yeah. the reason, in all seriousness, the reason that you'd have to say yeah is because if you put Moore, and people know how big of a fan of Moore I was, you put his achievements on the table and you put Xisco's next to it. It's going to be Xisco. I'm sorry. I can't do Xisco all night.
Agreed. Xisco.
Can't get out of that late 90s vibe, Steve.
I'll get to it. But if you put their achievements on side by side with each other, we're talking about a playoff win in League One versus, the work that he did, and you have to look at his stats, and everybody will have done it. They'll have done the Google search, they'll have gone on Wiki and everything else. And if you look at his stats from Watford, he's gone in there, excuse me, at Christmas. And the guy's, he's pulled up points like an absolute train. It was ridiculous. He's out of 26 games. I had a quick look. Out of 26 games, he's won 18. He's gone in there and they've pissed it. They got to 91 points. He got promoted within 3-4 months of getting the job. And there would have been groundwork to an extent of it being done. But he was just, if you look at that record, he won 18 games out of 26. That's crazy. And if if he does half the job with us this year, and let's temper expectations a little bit, given that we are effectively 3-4 weeks behind where we'd want to be, and you look at the players that we've got at the moment and the work that's going to have to be done to get the squad up to speed in terms of number, never mind playing style and everything else, we lower it a little bit. If he does half the job this season that he did at Watford, I'll take it. Absolutely.
I won't be unhappy with it, but I think Chansiri wants more, doesn't he? Chansiri's after playoffs, which is probably why he's gone.
He does, but I'd wonder whether or not those lofty expectations have been, he's over expecting, if that's a thing. And in the cold light of day, where we're a month or so away from Wembley, from promotion, from the civic celebrations and what have you, has he now looked at it and gone, it might have been a bit harder to get where we needed to be after all, and let's just bring it down a notch and let's just see if we can consolidate for a season. If Chansiri says we're still going to go for it, and the noises continue to come out that we're going to go top 6 or above, or be pushed from top 6 and above, then fair play to Chansiri. He'll either be a genius or a madman come Christmas, won't he?
I think sixth place is the highest we could possibly finish this season. That's what
have you identified 5 clubs better than us in Leicester, Leeds, and the other one that came down?
Southampton. That's 3 of them.
Yeah.
Southampton. Then Norwich and Watford. There you go. There's your 5.
And we're up there with. Forget the rest of the league.
I think Chansiri's been misinterpreted when he says there's no point being in the Championship if you're just here to make numbers up. We want to aim for playoffs. You look at Luton. Barnsley got the playoffs 2 seasons ago. It's not like it's impossible. Everyone beats everyone in this league. So, and also on the recruitment, I'm not saying we will make 6. I'm just saying it could be done with an unbelievable run and great recruitment. So, on the recruitment side of things, we're going to say a lot of people on Twitter going, "Oh, we've only got 14 players and that blah blah blah." But I think as a manager coming into a club, it's an ideal situation, but he can sign 6, 7, 8 players now, all of his own players. And he ain't got to try and move people on, because people always say moving players on is the hardest part to do in football. So he's almost he's got his own opportunity now to build his own team. So I think that's exciting, really.
The signings will be telling, won't they, on the ambition front? The signings will be telling. If Chansiri is thinking top 6, then the signings will be telling, won't they?
Well, again, this is it, John. So if we went to let's say we want to try and sign Jordan Story, because the English market's ridiculous now and FFP is so shit as well. Jordan Story could cost £5 million, which is mental.
Can't do it.
Whereas Xisco might know a Spanish defender who could do the same job, and it costs $500,000 because it's not getting the stupid English market.
Sorry, what you're going to get in that situation, though, is he brings somebody in, and it'll be, unless that guy hits the ground running,
he's
going to be under immense amounts of pressure.
You could bring in Sal's name again all the time on Twitter.
What you're going to get is is he a Lopez or is he a Van Aken? And if he has a poor game, it's going to be Van Aken. Chansiri's not learnt his lesson. We're spunking money or small money, or we're speculating with players from abroad that don't know the league and so on and so forth. So there's a fine line to be sort of trodden there, isn't there, in terms of getting the right player in. And it's exciting. It is exciting. And not just because we've got the manager in, because if you think about it, when we didn't have a manager, there was still massive talk about a recruitment drive that was being done independent of who the coach was going to be. You know, the Reece James business and the Marvin Johnson Pato business will have been done either under Moore or with the team around Moore, you'd assume, and people have accepted deals and got that over the line, so to speak, without Moore being involved.
I'd be shocked if this wasn't already sorted like a few days ago, because them 2 Spanish friendlies popped up this week, didn't they, as well? So it was sort of like
I tell you what, right? So there's one thing that's kind of irked me a little bit, right? So we found out last week through the odd statement that Chansiri made was that by the time he called that meeting, he knew that Darren Moore was on his way out. Now, we've already started pre-season training. The lads were back last week doing their pre-season fitness regime, and I appreciate the coach isn't involved as, you know, the head coach isn't involved as much in that. But this week has been the start. It's Tuesday today, so we've already had a day of training. Who the hell took that? Got no idea. But it's taken 3 weeks to get this over the line. It's taken a long time. And I appreciate what Blair says, that it's quite exciting that there's going to be some new faces coming in and he can build who he wants into the team. But Stevie, I'm going to come to you on this one, because Munoz is renowned for playing 4-2-3-1 as a formation. With Johnson and James and players like that signing. Where's Palmer going to fit into it?
In the two. In the
middle.
Doesn't matter. Xisco, come and have a look at what I did at Peterborough. Come and have a look at what I did at Wembley. Turn that game round. You tell me where you want me. Listen, if Gregors is struggling, stick me up top. I'll show you how to score it 98 minutes. It's not a problem at all. I will play wherever I want because I am Liam effing Palmer. Watch.
That's the clip I'm going to clip to advertise this on Twitter now. I'm going to clip that bit. That's brilliant. Now, John,
in January.
Yeah. Now, like I say, he's 42 years old. Is Xisco, and was at Watford in his late 30s. So he's no stranger to chairmen who are eccentric, as it were, or mad as a fish in petrol, as I would put it. You know, with his age being his age, and given the age of Moore, and given the age of Gary Monk, do you feel that we are, I'm going to say it, getting the managers on the cheap? And we're not chucking money at managers like Dean Smith, because we knew that 3-year contract would cost us a bloody fortune for what could potentially be a shit show.
I think there's absolute merit in that. Yeah, when you think about, you know, British managers will typically want some. They'll want some stability. They'll not typically want a 1-year contract. They'll want somebody like Smith, like you say, can definitely envisage him wanting because like a 3-year plan, don't you? You get your first year to get your feet wet. You get your second year to start consolidating, and your third year to push on, don't you? But the trouble is, like, you know, if that first year is disastrous and you're looking at sacking him, you're paying him off for 2 years. So I think there's definitely been an ethos from Chansiri where he's been a bit cautious in employing managers on more than 1-year deals, because if things aren't going right, he's got that option of moving on. Now we know it's well documented that Moore was on a rolling contract, which has come to a head in this, you know, allegedly. Again, obviously there's two sides to a story, but what we've been led to believe is when it came to contract talks, he wanted a lot more money and probably more years as well. So and that's where we stand now. That Chansiri wasn't willing to commit long term like that. He's going for the short termism, hoping for long term game. Yeah, it could be deemed another risk, but he did do well at Watford. He is a young manager. It seems to be a young manager's game as well at the moment, doesn't it? We're seeing lots of managers taking over at other clubs that have either been, you know, young assistants or just finished playing career. You know, Michael Carrick at Middlesbrough springs to mind. So So maybe it is just a chance here thinking I ain't going to commit too long until I'm absolutely convinced that this is the guy to take us forward long term, and then we'll revisit it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now Blair, at Dynamo Tblisi, the Georgian league, there is only one team, and that's it. And he won that league at a canter, so he earned the right to go to Watford and was quite successful there. In recent years, we've had a stint at Xisco and I've got to write it down. Anorthosis. Anorthosis.
That Cypriot team.
Yeah, I want to say where Sam Hutchinson went. I want to say it's one of them clubs where I can't pronounce what happened. He's not really set the world on fire. Now he's got something to prove himself. I mean, is it something that you feel like it? I know Sheffield Wednesday can be a poison chalice. I mean, he's got a big job. This could make or break his career, right?
Yeah, this is it's a gamble. It's a gamble for him because this could end his career in England. But quite clearly. But Sheffield Wednesday is just that club with, we say it all the time, stupid amount of potential, sleeping giant, cliche. But
massive.
We're absolutely massive, great fan base. But if he gets this anything like Carlos gets it going like he did in that first season, it's going to be one awesome year in it following this football team, and the concourse is going to be hilarious, especially if they start singing like all the songs what fit disco in. So it's just going to be a fun time. Back to your point, it is a risk for him. His past two jobs haven't really gone great. Like you can't look it back on like Carlos's CV and go, oh, he's played in Europe, etc. But so it's almost like we're a good match for each other, aren't we? Like we need a manager. We need someone who's a bit more technical now, a bit more outside contacts and stuff. Might play a better attractive style of football. Doesn't want a ridiculous long contract because on the continent they don't have long contracts. Even look at like Guardiola in like Barcelona, and like, if you look at Barcelona's managers, they only have a manager every 3 seasons, and then the change is sort of like the norm thing to do out there. So I think we're perfect for each other, really.
Well, he's never done a full season, has he? He's never done a full season at a club. And I totally agree with what Blair's saying, because if you think about it, he's a safe, although you could argue it's maybe a little bit left field, it's actually a really safe sort of appointment, because it will be relatively, you read between the lines, you're going to assume it's going to be within the pricing strategy that we've got in terms of salary for the staff that for Chansiri wanting to bring in. So he's not going to break FFP. He's not going to put people on big contracts. That's box one, number one ticked. What it also is if he walks after 6-8 months and he's got us in mid-table, but it's not right, he's true to form, and we can look at it. And I think if we are secure as a championship side in the next 6-8 months, we are going to be a very attractive proposition for people that have been looking at us going on an upward trajectory. And that's just how it is. So if it does end up being a short-term sort of appointment where he gets us consolidated and brings a little bit of excitement, and it burns out fairly quickly, so be it. But that's not what people want to hear, and it's not what people want to see in terms of stability of the club. But as a stopgap appointment, potentially, that's absolutely fine. And I think that might be where we are at the minute, because the bottom line is what we're saying here is Chansiri's done due diligence. Chansiri's gone, I don't want him, and I don't want him, and I don't want him. But I'd also argue there's a large possibility, and I'll say it, that Chansiri's gone, I want him, I'd like him to come in. I've approached him, and they've all gone, don't fancy it, don't want to work for him. I've had Darren Moore on phone. I'm not saying that that's happened. I've listened to this person. People talk. It's just not been right. So
I'm just looking forward to not seeing 3-5-2 again.
Yeah, me and all, actually. I must admit.
I was never keen. Yeah.
But it got results, and you can't argue with it. Now, listen, it's just going to be a short episode tonight, but is anybody unhappy with the appointment, or are we all just like, we've got a geezer in, let's give it a roll, see how it goes?
I think it's like, I think it's just like really like, I'm seeing the positive side of things. I'm quite excited about it. I've got a season ticket next season. I'm going to see a different style of football. It's all new. It's like when Netflix released a new season, I'm like, ooh, let's have a look at this. And I'm just like looking at it with a very open mind. Yeah. So
I think it's like when we took Carlos on. Nobody had a clue, did they? Nobody had a clue who we were or what he could do. He was supposed to be originally director of football, and then he ends up being manager because Mark Cooper didn't take it. Carlos were great for a couple of seasons, particularly that first season. Then the next time we spun the wheel on the foreign manager, we got Little Italy, didn't we? Which is the words of Chansiri himself, weren't it? So, so it's just one of them, innit? It's like a bag of rebels, isn't it? You're either going to get a nice strawberry chocolate one or you're going to get a coffee one. And we'll just have to wait and see, won't we?
Best way of putting it. Listen, like I said, just a short one tonight, like just to break the news. Thanks a lot for joining us this evening. In the meantime, let's all just get behind the manager and see how it goes. See you later.